We begin on a sad note. At least one person is feared dead after a fuel tanker this morning crashed into 5 vehicles and burst into flames along the incident-prone Maimahiu-Narok highway. The incident happened near the Italian Catholic Church. The early morning incident caused a major traffic snarl-up. Both sides of the road were blocked. Occupants of the 2 vehicles traveling along the Maimahiu-Nairobi road escaped unhurt.
The early morning sunrise choked by the huge smoke that bellowed along the Maimahiu-Narok road after a tanker burst into flames following an accident that involved at least 5 vehicles. Eyewitnesses gathered at the scene of the accident said the fuel tanker lost control and rammed into 5 vehicles before bursting into flames at a bend near a historic Catholic church. Emergency rescue the Kenya Red Cross say that 3 people who were critically injured in the accident have been rushed to the Naivasha District Hospital. The NYS Fire Brigade has managed to contain the fire. The early morning incident caused a major traffic snarl-up that has affected several towns as both sides of the road was blocked. The highway leads to Naivasha, Narok and Bomet towns to the west and Nairobi, Kiambu and Machakos to the east. Police are advising motorists to use the Naivasha-Nakuru highway. Najma Ismail, KTN News.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has launched its survey on corruption. The survey places the Ministry of Interior at the top of the list of the most corrupt ministries.
People perceive us as not being serious. That's an issue of perception, and we can't stop people having particular types of perception. What we'll do is we're going to go ahead, we'll implement our, and hopefully with that, the results that then emerge will show that it's not perception of being not serious, that in fact the results show there is a new resolve that we are going to be fighting corruption effectively. Fight against corruption is not a one-day event. This is a long-term initiative. What we want to make sure is that we are consistent in the direction we take as we fight this vice. We're laying the foundations, and with doing that also, along the way, there are going to be achievements. And I think you'll be seeing that there are achievements that you can report about, there'll be milestones in the public domain.
Let's now quickly analyze that list by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission of the most corrupt government ministries and departments. And as we told you, the Interior Ministry is the most corrupt government ministry at 40.3%, followed by Health on 14.3%, and the Lands is third on that infamous list with 11.3%. The Ministry of Education is 4th on 9.9%, while Transport and Infrastructure Ministry has 6.1%. The Ministry of Devolution and Planning is 6th with 6.2%. Now, in terms of government departments, Kenya Police Service top on the list with 31.9%. That is an improvement, though. In the last such report done, the Kenya Police had 48%. Traffic Police 18.8%. The Chief Offices 6.2%, which is also an improvement. It had a high of 10.2% in the last such report. Judiciary on 4.8% and public hospitals on 4.1%. The Public Service is the least corrupt government department according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Counties, Murang'a County is the most corrupt with 3.78. That is the score of the bribes asked. Embu County second on 2.53, Bomet County 2.46%, and the county of Kisii on 2.41%. Wajir County is 5th on 2.33%. That is according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Let's now bring in KTN's Muremi Mwangi. Has been following this story for us, coming to us live from our Nairobi City Center studios. And Muremi, from the numbers that you've had and you've seen, what key improvements or key things can be noted from this report?
Good afternoon, Ben. Of course, worrying reports coming from the EACC. Remember, generally from the statistics, the public perception on corruption and graft in government is at over 70%, and this is an increase from just around 69% in 2012. So much concern here. But interestingly, the Ministry of Interior and Coordination, which happens to house critical government functions, including the National Police Service as well as the provincial administration, is ranking atop with a very big percentage, over 40%, raising concerns that even as we talk of security being one of the top nightmares for that ministry, not only in the past year, but even presently, then there's a lot for Kenyans to be worried about. Again, when you go to the individual departments, you get that the National Police Service is again on the top, followed by the Traffic Police Department. And then on position 3 are the chiefs. So when it gets to this extent, of course, they have raised concern that a lot more needs to be done. And remember, there's a poll where over 5,260 Kenyans were interviewed in a face-to-face administration of the questionnaire. Across 46 counties, of course, that with the exception of Mandera, which was facing security concerns as at the time when this survey was being conducted. But again, on the issues that have been cited as contributing to these increasing levels of corruption has been the seeming lack of action from the authorities that are tasked to fight graft. Remember, from reporting such incidents to the police and the EACC, that goes the investigations as well as the prosecution, and after that it goes to the judiciary to now deliver a verdict as to if there's going to be a conviction or an acquittal on the various issues or complaints of corruption. But the information from the government, and in this case from the office of the Attorney General, is that the Jubilee government is committed to the fight against corruption. But interestingly, the signals that you're getting from the various government departments with regard to how previous corruption cases have been handled, notably the embezzlement of the 791 million shillings at the NYS, then you get to place question marks as to if the government is fully committed to the fight against corruption. Again, something interesting that has been happening in the past few days with regard to corruption, Ben, the public statements that have come from leaders across the three arms of government with regard to issues of corruption. You remember that the Chief Justice had at one time termed Kenya as a bandit economy run by mafia-style cartels that have been extorting members of the public and various government departments over the years. You remember again President Uhuru Kenyatta's recent statement that Kenyans are experts at hurling insults and stealing. So it raises concern. Again, you remember at one time there was some sort of a Twitter duel between National Assembly Majority Leader and the Chief Justice over seemingly which arm of the government is more corrupt. And that's why Kenyans who were interviewed in this survey have been raising concern as to if the government is fully committed to fight corruption, Ben. And even when we had that interview after the main function with the new chair of the EACC, Mr. Philip Kinisu, his comment was that the EACC is committed to fight corruption, but they're not getting the adequate support from the other state organs that are supposed to facilitate the rest of the process from investigation to prosecution and ultimately the final verdict that comes from the concerns being raised by Kenyans out there that most of the cases that have been concluded on the courts with regards to corruption happen not to touch on the top profile people in the various government departments, but the small fish. So quite a lot for the EACC to undertake in the coming days with regards to the fight against corruption, Ben.
By the new chair of the EACC. Now, speaking of the Ministry of Devolution and Planning, which has been in the headlines for months now over the NYS saga, where some 791 million shillings was lost in some corrupt deals. Where does that ministry stand in these reports?
And the Ministry of Devolution is at position 5 with regard to which ministries in the government have been having more cases of corruption. But interestingly, when you talk of the Ministry of Devolution, then you're talking of services that some of the services have already been to the counties, and you notice that the Department of Health is at position 2 of the various government departments that have been affected by corruption. And even when you talk to residents of the various counties that were interviewed for this survey, they list out various stages upon which they have to pay for a bribe, be it to get the tender from the county government, accessing even healthcare in public health institutions in the counties. And you remember that most of the referral hospital facilities out there in the counties happen to serve more than one county. So when there's this high level of corruption in healthcare, which is now under the county government, then there's concern for Kenyans out there. But the Ministry of Devolution being at position 5, again, tells quite a lot about the other ministries that have been atop that list. Of course, top on that being the Ministry of Interior.
Thank you, Muremi. KTN's Muremi Mwangi just putting some perspective into this corruption report by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Now, a moment ago, the top leadership of the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy stormed the offices of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, over a myriad of issues, among them the Okoa Kenya referendum. We're now joined live from Anniversary Towers by KTN's Chris Dairo for the latest on this developing story. Chris, what happened this morning? Standing by at the IEBC headquarters at Anniversary Towers in the CBD. Chris, if you can hear me, what happened this morning when the court leadership tried to access or storm the IEBC offices?
Well, Ben, a very good afternoon. Tell you is that the court principals Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula, as well as other members of the National Assembly, as well as the Senate affiliated to the court coalition, have been here 30 minutes ago, and their intention was to meet the 9 commissioners of the IEBC. See, this meeting was called by the court leaders. They had officially written to the IEBC, informing them that today, or the Tuesday of today, they will be visiting their offices just to know what happened with the Okoa Kenya referendum signatures, the 1.4 signatures that they had presented before the commission. Unfortunately, they didn't find any of the commissioners. All the 9 commissioners of the IEBC, they were informed that they are all at the grassroots level. Remember that today is the last day of voter registration exercise, and so the only person who is in office is the CEO, Ezra Chiloba. To the court leaders is that these amounts to intimidation, and also these amounts to belittling the coalition, just leaving them to meet the CEO instead of the chairman, Isaac Hassan, and his team. And so they left the office in a half, indicating that they are not ready now to talk to the IEBC commissioners, since they've snapped their meeting for today. They were not in the office, and what they informed us is that they are going for a meeting together with their lawyers, so that they can come up or ensure, or come up with one of the options that they will finally take after today's move. Ben?
Chris, the verification process of those signatures for the Okoa Kenya constitutional referendum push began in November 2015. That is 4 months ago. What is the key issue that CORD are having with the IEBC?
It's true that it has taken 4 months. The Constitution is clear that after the submission of the signatures for a referendum through a public initiative, or popular initiative, then the signature should be presented to the IEBC for verification, just to ensure that the signatures that have been collected are in tandem with the voter registers that they have. And so it has been 4 months, but the Constitution says the 3 months. But according to the IEBC officials, is that they've been been lacking funds to speed up the process of verifying these signatures. But these, to me, okay, I can't. I'm not a lawyer by the profession, but the Constitution stating it's 3 months, definitely this goes against the Constitution, because someone can just move to court and say this is a breach of the Constitution because they were given 3 months. And some of the issues, there are hefty issues that the Okoa Kenya referendum draft bill has, including an overhaul of the IEBC, as well as increasing the money be allocated to the devolved units, increasing it from 15%, that is what in the Constitution, to at least 45% of the national kitty to be distributed to the 47 units. And for now, they left here a rejected lot, but they've said that they still have other options which they're going to discuss and come up with one option which they will use to make sure that this referendum really works. Ben?
Chris, I know you reported that the court leadership is going for a meeting, but what is the way forward from a court perspective?
Well, the way forward now, it's for court, if at all. I'm just speculating, but they might decide to move to court because already the IEBC has delayed or has taken more time than the stipulated time in the Constitution. They've taken more than 4 months now because the signatures were presented in early November. But according to some of the officials here, chance to talk to some of them, what they're saying is that they have already finished the preliminary verification of the signatures, and what they want to do is to have the final results and to ensure that the final tally really is okay. But from there, according to the process, the Constitution dictates that if at all they clear that, then they should present the Okoa Kenya referendum, the referendum draft bill. It should be presented to all the 47 county assemblies for debate, and the county assemblies will definitely have 3 months also, as stipulated in the Constitution, to debate and either reject or approve that bill. And now the challenge will be to CORD to ensure that when this bill goes to all the 47 county assemblies, they get the majority. That is, out of the 47, at least they get 24 counties approving the referendum. And from there, then the speakers of the 2 counties, of the 47 counties, will take the results to the National Assembly, Senate. Those are the both houses of Parliament, so that members can initiate debate on that bill. But if this bill is defeated at the county assembly, then it's doom for them. Ben?
Chris, KTN's Chris Dair coming to us live from the IEBC, shall we? And the 1-month voter registration window by the IEBC. Today, the IEBC has ruled out the possibility of extending the process. Let's now touch base with KTN's Michelle Ngele for the latest. Michelle, where you are, what is happening? There has been reports of a last-minute rush by Kenyans to try and register in this first window. What's happening? Michelle, if you can hear me, where are you and what is happening? There has been reports of a last-minute rush by Kenyans to try and get their names on the voter register before the end of this first batch or the first window of the mass voter registration exercise. Having some technical hitches, we shall try to get in touch with Michelle Ngele to just bring us the latest. She is currently in Gara to just tell us what is happening in the ongoing voter registration. This being the last day of this first window. Now, let's go to the county of Nakuru. And let's stay in Nairobi for now. And tonight, in a KTN and KTN News exclusive, our reporter Timothy Otieno tells us the tale of the dangerous plight facing street boys in Nairobi, as seen as lived through the experience of a 14-year-old who underwent and managed to survive a circumcision ordeal that went terribly wrong. Here's a small snippet of the feature, Knife of Greed, that airs tonight at 9 p.m.
Bana na kijana hapa juu akanitolea akaniambia venye nilitairiwa. Kanimuuliza kutairiwa nini? So kumuuliza kutairiwa ulitairiwa na nani? Akaniambia kuna watu walimtairi nini? Nionyesha kwanza juu sijui Kenya unaniambia. Wakati kijana aliniita akaniambia abu ona venye niko. Wakati alitoa Teresa, mimi Kenya aliniona sijaiona kwa maisha yangu juu kulingana yeye ni kijana. Kitu yake ile uzazi ilikuwa kubwa sana. Ukiangalia tu kulikuwa na vitu hata hakuwa amefungwa zile bandage. Venye tulitairo ukaona mtu venye anakuaga unajua uchungu. Nikaanza kutetemea nikaona huyu mtoto anasikia uchungu.
Mara kidogo hivi anaingisha. Anaanza sasa kukata. Anazishikanisha hivi akakata zote. Akaweka hiyo nyama hapa akaanza kutengeneza.
What they look for, it's not what people think they are looking for. They are not out there to steal, to kill or to do anything. They are looking for love. Because me, I have experienced it. I have now boys, street boys walking in and out of my shop because in me they have.
We shall catch Knife of Greed here on KTN Prime tonight at 9 p.m. Now, after this bulletin, after KTN Newsdesk, Abby again will be coming up with Business Today. Let's now catch up with Abby. Abby, what do you have for us on the show this afternoon? Us on Business Today this afternoon.
Well, Kichili, a lot has been happening in the business world today. One of the biggest news that we have so far is that Kenya has received close to 1 billion shillings from the IMF, which is a standby security facility that will go towards the loan provisions for the country. The other story we are working on, Ben, for our show at 2 p.m. is, of course, the recent signing of the deal between Africa Development Bank and East Africa Development Bank, talking about $40 million US, translating to about 4 billion shillings. This money is critical because it will go towards funding infrastructure projects. And as you know, Kenya has been delivering quite a number of infrastructure projects across the country, one of them being in Mombasa County, where the construction of the bridge is also one of the big projects that has not yet received funding. So Ben, those are just some of the stories that we are keeping our eyes on for the day. Of course, the shilling is also trading at a stable of 101.17. We've not seen much movement on the shilling front, Ben. So we'll be keeping an eye on, as well as other stories we continue to focus our attention on here on KTN Business Today.
Thank you, Abby. Be sure to join Abby on Business Today for the latest on the Kenya shilling and the best analysis on the economic and corporate world. That is on Business Today immediately after KTN Newsdesk. For now, that is where we leave it on KTN. For our viewers on KTN News, do stand by for more news after this quick commercial break. Not doing enough to bring perpetrators of graft to book.
People perceive us as not being serious. You know, that's an issue of perception. And we can't stop people having particular types of perception. What we'll do is we're going to go ahead, we'll implement our strategies, and hopefully with that, the results that then emerge will show that it's not a perception of being not serious, that in fact the results show there is a resolve that we are going to be fighting corruption effectively. Fight against corruption is not a one-day event. This is a long-term initiative. What we want to make sure is that we are consistent in the direction we take as we fight this vice. We're laying the foundations, and with doing that also, along the way, there are going to be achievements. And I think you'll be seeing that there are achievements that you can report about, there'll be milestones in the public domain.
A moment ago, the top leadership of the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy Code stormed the offices of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission over a myriad of issues, among them the Okoa Kenya referendum. Here is part of the press conference.
Mkutano. Mimi sijui mkutano muhimu zaidi bwana Hassan anaweza kuwa naye kuliko kukutana na viongozi wa codes juu ya mambo ya maoni wakati huu. Na tena tume ina wanachama 9 Tumeambiwa wote leo ni siku ya mwisho ya kusajilisha wapigaji kura. Sasa wale wanachama wengine ati wameenda mkoa zingine kuangalia vile kazi inakwisha. Ni watu wa 9, vituo vya kuandikisha wapigaji kura ni maelfu. Sijui wanaenda kufanya kazi gani badala ya kungoja hapa na wapate ripoti kama vile wamekuwa wakipata. Kwa hivyo tumeona hii imechukuliwa makusudi na Bwana Hassan na wanachama wake, na sisi kama wana CORD tunaona hii ni dharau kubwa sana kwa muungano wetu wa CORD.
This commission was contemptuous of this major coalition, the government in waiting, and we must report to the people of this country. Leo hii ni mwisho wa kuchukua kura, lakini tunaamini mambo haya pia hayawezi kukoma leo. Tunajua wengine walikuwa na mtu anaenda kujiandikisha, anapata BVR kit imeenda kilomita ingine 3, anazungushwa mpaka hawezi kupata kura yake, and this is a basic thing. Kwa hivyo mambo haya yote tutaangalieni, na kilichoko ni kwamba Wakenya wana uvumilivu wa ajabu. Hebu angalieni watu wa Brazil sasa hivi vile wamejimwaga, kwa sababu katiba inampa mwananchi wa Kenya haki ya kufanya picketing, ya kufanya maandamano ya amani ili kuokoa maslahi yake. Kama unapata kwamba kuna serikali haijali, kuna tume kama hii haijali, mimi mwenyewe najiuliza, inaweza tukaenda uchaguzi ujao na tume hii?
Wakenya hawatakubali kufurugwa kwa kura. Wakenya hawatakubali udanganyifu tena. Na ile tunaona tume inafanya, na vile ndugu zangu wamesema tulipokuwa hapa tarehe 16, wao wenyewe ndio walisema walihitaji siku 10 kukamilisha kazi ya kuangalia zile sahihi. Siku 10 zimefika, zimekwisha, hawako. Na hawajali kama sisi kama viongozi waliochaguliwa wakaibiwa. Tuna haki ya kuja na kupewa habari tunayotaka.
On February 16th, the CORD principals did visit the IEBC, and the IEBC did promise to end or finish that verification exercise within 10 days. That is what the CORD co-principal Moses Wetangula is talking about. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta begins a tour in Nakuru County today. He is expected to commission the construction of the Olenguruone Road and later be at the Provincial General Hospital. For the political significance of his visit, let's now joining Steve Mkawale of The Standard. Steve, how is the president's itinerary looking like?
Yeah, the president will be in Nakuru and Baringo County tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. The tour will start in Baringo at Eldama Ravine, where he'll be commissioning the Chemosusu Dam. You remember this dam was constructed at the cost of 5.5 billion by the former President Kibaki's administration. That dam is key to the people of Baringo, especially Mogotio and Eldama Ravine constituency. It's supposed to serve around 600,000 people in that area, and also around another bigger population of the people in the neighboring Nakuru Rongai constituency in Nakuru County. Yes, Ben.
If you can hear me, what is the political significance of the president's visit to Nakuru County at this time?
Yeah, the visit is key. Coming slightly after the...
We do apologize for that technical hitch we are having. We do apologize for that technical hitch. We are having audio problems with Steve Mkawale of The Standard coming out to us from Nakuru. Now, crossing borders, Ivory Coast is marking the second of 3 days of national mourning after 18 people were killed in an attack on a beach resort on Sunday. President Alassane Ouattara, who announced days of mourning, called on Ivory Coast people not to cede to fear after the said attack. Sunday's very details, which are beginning to emerge and witness and official accounts, was the farthest yet from Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb's traditional days, a worrying indication of the militants' growing reach Footage from security cameras released on Monday shows one of the attackers who targeted a popular beach resort in Ivory Coast. The footage shows people running from the bar in Le Toit du Sud Hotel and a man with a gun entering the said bar. Let's now switch gears to sports, shall we, starting with athletics. And Kenya's Robert Mbidi put up a splendid show to win and break the Bath half marathon course record in southwest England, but in finishing line tape proved more difficult to break as it pulled him to the ground, but he did finish.
At the moment, he's going to break the course record. What a stunning performance. The winner of the 2016 Vitality Bath Half, Robert Mbidi.
In football, in the English Premier League, Leicester's Shinji Okazaki scored a superb overhead kick as Leicester beat Newcastle United to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. The acrobatic strike in the first half from headed knockdown secured the 3 points as the side moved even closer to a remarkable league title and condemned Rafa Benitez to his first defeat in charge of Newcastle United.
Premier League log leaders Leicester City welcomed the struggling Newcastle to the King Power Stadium for their massive clash. The Foxes have Tottenham breathing down their necks, only 2 points back. The Magpies were second from bottom, a point from safety. This was Rafa Benitez's first game in charge of the Geordies. His charges started brightly and Ayoze Perez fired in a shot that went wide of the upright. The Magpies kept probing and Musa Sissoko went close, only to miss the target. The referee missed that he used his hand in that attempt. Leicester have found ways to score goals in tough battles, and they did it again in spectacular fashion.
Okazaki! Well, a particular thrill for him. His first home goal. And it's come at an important time.
The Foxes were keen to make it 2-0, and Mark Albrighton ran at the Newcastle defence, but he shot wide, the chance going a-begging. Perez was then given the freedom of the King Power Stadium, but he rifled in an effort straight at Schmeichel. The second half was a closely fought affair with nothing to separate the sides. Perez shot into the side netting. Leicester were almost gifted a chance on goal as Robert Elliott spilled a Christian Fuchs long throw-in. The keeper pounced on it at the second time of asking. The hosts were living dangerously, and De Jong wasted an excellent chance as he shot tamely at Kasper Schmeichel. The Foxes held on to win the game 1-0 as they their 5-point lead at the summit of English football. Rafa Benitez losing his first game in charge of Newcastle as the season end draws ever closer.
What a remarkable, legendary story they are seeking to write Leicester if Claudio Ranieri's men can hold on to win the English Premier League. Now, being Tuesday, the UEFA Champions League returns tonight, and Manchester City winger Raheem Sterling has said a first Champions League quarter-final will not be enough, and the English side should be aiming to lift the trophy with the talent in their squad. Manuel Pellegrini's side hold a 3-1 lead over Dynamo Kiev ahead of Tuesdays, that is tonight, last 16th second clash at Etihad Stadium.
Manchester City have already moved on from their latest disappointing results in the Premier League as they prepare for their match on Tuesday in Europe. But that hasn't stopped Manuel Pellegrini from making a defiant message about their fading title hopes.
Another 27 points for the Premier League. You never know in football what can happen, but our mentality is try to win the derby on Sunday after we finish the game of tomorrow, and we are not thinking, we never think in a negative way. I think we're always thinking we have chances, we must try to finish as near the top of the table as we can.
A record of 1 win in their last 5 league matches has left the team 9 points off the top, and even their place in the top 4 is now in question. But the players are in no mood to give up on the title either.
No, of course not. I'm never going to concede anything whilst it's still up for grabs, and the Premier League's definitely still up for grabs. But, we put that tournament aside for this moment, and we concentrate on the Champions League, and then it changes again after Tuesday night.
The club will take a 3-1 lead from the first leg into their last 16 match with Ukrainian side Dynamo Kiev. Yaya Toure is back after injury, and despite City looking firm favourites to go through, Pellegrini will not rest any of his biggest stars.
We think tomorrow that we put our strong squad, that we need to win tomorrow the game, not to play with the other score. So tomorrow we'll put in the pitch the strongest squad that I think in this moment we can do.
Atletico Madrid continue their pursuit of a UEFA Champions League quarter-final place when they host PSV Eindhoven at the Vicente Calderon Stadium on Tuesday night. The round of 16 tie is delicately poised after the first leg in the Netherlands finished in a 0-0 draw, despite PSV playing the last quarter of that match with only 10 men following a second booking for Gaston Pereiro. It will be the 4th Champions League game between the two sides, with Atletico winning both group stage meetings in the 2008-2009 season. Atletico manager Diego Simeone is still without midfielder Thiago Mendes, who suffered a leg fracture last November. And Savic has also been out since picking up an injury in the first leg against PSV. But Fernando Torres is back in the squad after returning to fitness. Atletico have won 4 successive La Liga games since the 0-0 draw at Philipsstadion in Holland, including a 3-0 win over Deportivo La Coruña on Saturday. Atletico, who lost the 2014 UEFA Champions League final to local rivals Real Madrid, are unbeaten in their last 8 games in all competitions and have lost only 1 of their last 16 home games. However, a score draw would be enough to secure PSV's place in the quarters by virtue of the away goals rule.
And finally, and away from sports, Pope Francis is expected to confirm the date and venue for the sainthood ceremony of the late Mother Teresa and 4 others. This is after a second miracle attributed to the nun was confirmed by the Vatican. She was beatified in 2003 as she blessed Teresa of Calcutta, healing an Indian woman tumor through divine intervention. The second miracle was the curing of a man in Santos, Brazil, with a serious viral brain infection. According to a local Catholic father who worked closely with Mother Teresa for 20 years, they said the unidentified man was in a coma and about to undergo an emergency operation when a neurosurgeon returned to the operating room only to find him inexplicably awake and without pain. The late nun is remembered by Christians across the globe for her unconditional love for the poor and abandoned. A life mission earned her the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979.
The church.
Catholics across the globe will be waiting for that. That is where we leave it on KTN Newsdesk this hour. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Ben Kitili. I'll be back shortly at the top of the hour with News Talk. Stay with us.